Koa Peat made history. Cam Boozer did not. We'll tell you what it all means for the 2026 NBA Draft next on Lockdown NBA Draft with No Ceilings.
You are locked on NBA Draft with No Ceilings, your daily podcast on the future stars of the NBA, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA Draft with No Ceilings. My name is Tyler Metcalf. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Tyler Rucker. Rucker, last time we were on here, we're previewing this week's games. You know, we're talking about hypotheticals, would-be's, could-be's, should-be's. Now we have games on a scale of 1 to 10. How much better is your life now that college basketball is back?
You know, I've said 11 the last couple of weeks, but I'm also drinking from a fire hose right now, trying to catch up on all this film. So it's a great problem to have this time of the year, ladies and gentlemen. So I'll say a 10. We're at a 10 right now. Get a little bit more sleep. It'll probably be at 11. I know you always say 1 to 10, but these go to 11. Metcalf, how about yourself? What's give me the 1 to 10 for you?
30. Yeah, I'll just be even more obnoxious. No, I love it. You know, it's always like, oh, I don't need to watch this game, and then you end up watching the game, and like, I don't need to watch, you know, Marquette blow out Southern again, and then you do. But it's a wonderful time of the year. We got a bunch of great things that we've seen, which we'll wrap up the episode with. We're going to dive into Cam Boozer's struggle. Is he a bust? I don't know. People are saying, they're questioning. They're not. But we got to start out. Koa Peat, absolutely historic freshman debut for the Arizona Wildcat forward as Arizona took down the reigning national champions, Florida. Peat put up the second most points in an Arizona debut ever. He was also the second freshman to ever post a 25-5-5 game, and he was the only one to ever do it in their debut. Koa Peat, turns out, good at basketball. Where do you want to start with him?
Yeah, I mean, I think this was a remarkable performance. You know, this was a prospect that, you know, I've had questions coming into the year. I think a lot of evaluators were, you know, just trying to wait and see, like, is it going to translate to the college basketball level? Because, you know, we talk about Cam Boozer. It's ironic that we're talking about both of these guys. I just realized, but we talk about Cam Boozer's resume coming into this year of like, he's won at every level. He's put up all these accolades, and, you know, Koa Peat's right behind that, you know, and he's got fantastic, you know, athletic bloodlines. I think his dad and his brother both were offensive linemen in the NFL. His brother Andrews was with the New Orleans Saints. He's about 6'7", 300. So you understand Koa's got to be tough, and you see that on
he's
the basketball
runt of the family.
Yeah, he's the runt of the family at 6'8", 235. So I think Koa, you see that on the basketball court. You see the toughness, you see the competitive drive, and you see also like when things were getting a little intense and he was maybe looking like he's tired on there, I think he finds another gear and that's the competitive nature he looks. So I thought it was an unbelievable performance in your debut in really tough, you know, circumstances.
Yeah.
Like, this was coming into this game, I was like, hey, they're going to have remarkable performance to overcome this Florida team, even though it's the first game of the year. And I was like, it's going to be a lot for a lot of these freshmen on Arizona. And I thought Koa Peat too, but man, he just kept fighting, and heck of a showing. It was awesome. Been great.
Yeah. As listeners may remember, let's go skeptical. I was skeptical with Koa Peat because like the high school dominance is obvious, you know, the winning, the production, what we saw at FIBA, got off to an awesome start. Defense looked a little better in that structure, but I still had a lot of questions because it's like, I don't think against elite competition, whether college or pro, that he can be that type of on-ball initiator and creator and scorer that he was in high school. I just don't think his game's that dynamic enough to translate, and the defense before college needed a lot of work. It was all over the place. It looked like he didn't care, and it's like, I want to buy in because, you know, you buy the kid, you buy what you hear, you buy the intangibles and the production, and it was never a doubt of the talent. It's just, what type of player does he want to be? Didn't take long for him to answer all of those questions and immediately show us who he wanted to be. And all he wants to be, it seems, is a winner, which is also all he's ever been. So I could not be more enthused and happy about that debut. I thought he was absolutely lethal in that short roll area. I thought Arizona and Tommy Lloyd did an incredible job of putting him in the absolute best spot to succeed every single possession he was out there, keeping him in the middle of the floor, using him as that primary screener, and then instead putting Owaka and Krivas down in the dunker spot. I was a little worried that they were going to try and have Pete down in that spot or put him in the corners or more off ball, but instead they put him directly in the action, and that gave him a ton of opportunities to catch in that short roll and then either make that kick out, dump it off to one of the bigs to pull up from the mid range, attack downhill, draw a ton of fouls, and he just bullied Alex Condon all game. I was shocked that Florida never adjusted, never changed anything up or got him out of that rhythm, but kudos to him for really dominating from that spot.
It was, Condon from Florida Alex Condon was a player that we thought could have snuck into that first round last year. And then, he had the up and down March Madness and had some injuries and stuff. And then, we were like, okay, he'd probably be smart to go back. And Pete was just like anything he wanted to with Condon defensively, especially. I was like, that's where it kind of impressed me the most, is watching Pete in that way. It's like, he might be 6'8". You ain't gonna overpower him. There's different types of strength when you're a similar weight to somebody else. And Koa Peat at 235 or whatever he's gonna be, that's where you do take into like, hey, what's his upbringing like? Oh, a family full of NFL and other athletes, and dad was an offensive guard at 300 plus pounds. There's a different type of strength there. So, and you see that on the court. Like Condon was trying to just like overpower him, and he's like, "Are you kidding me? Like, come on, no." So you see that. I agree with you. Tommy Lloyd did a fantastic job putting him in positions for Pete to thrive. And early in the game, when you watch that back, it might have been like a couple, like maybe 4 or 5 minutes. He hadn't scored yet. He gets fouled. He gets the line. I think he split free throws, comes down. He hits that mid range that he loves, that middle of the key little pull up, which is his bread and butter. Then I think he came down and maybe hit another one. And you're like, uh-oh, here he goes. He's starting to roll. And second half, we get the highlight stoppers with the unbelievable alley-oop, the one-hand slam that was like, whoa. And then the next sequence down, he gets the dump off in the just full speed, tomahawk, like two-handed slam. You just saw as the game went on, he got tougher. It was like a heavyweight boxer in the extended rounds that just like kept getting stronger throughout the fight. So it was an awesome performance from Pete. There was a lot of really good stuff, and I think that's why people are fans, especially, are starting to get excited about this class, is because you see Koa Peat and you're like, wait, Koa Peat now? Like, it's like, okay, there's these performances everywhere, but Pete was tremendous.
Now, just to play a little devil's advocate here, be a little bit of a Debbie Downer. It is one game, granted, one game against the reigning national champions and arguably the best front court in the country. So heck of a one game. But I want to see if he can, one, maintain not this production, but, something similar, or at least maintain the process that we saw on both ends of the floor. Two things I'm looking for. On the defensive end, he's not going to face that big of a team and be able to defend below the free throw line for the vast majority of it. He showed some flashes on the perimeter, but when he's more stuck on playing more of a floor spacer or someone who's going in motion and he has to navigate screens and really rotate consistently off ball, what does that look like? And then on offense, when teams don't just play drop coverage against him every single possession and they try and take him out of that or switch or try and bait him into being a jump shooter or more of an on-ball creator, what does it look like? Does the decision-making still carry over and maintain at a really high clip like it did in this first game? Just things I'm looking for going forward.
The drop stuff from Florida made no sense because it was like, you're literally giving him his favorite shot. Like, he just
and same with Jaden Bradley. It's like, Jaden Bradley is a good mid-range pull-up shooter and an awesome player getting downhill. So you're just giving him a runway, and it was bewildering.
I was like, you have the opposite of the scouting report. You guys got a dummy scouting report. Like, so, and Florida will be fine. They'll figure it out. They'll adjust. But it was just one of those games where I was like, he's hit that shot multiple times. Why are you giving him that shot every time? So they're just going to have to figure it out. It just seemed like maybe it was miscommunication with big, I don't know. But no, I mean, and then it's credit for Pete to being able to find his spots and be patient. And then, I thought Bradley was phenomenal.
Yeah. Really good game.
Pete and Bradley stepped up when like Arizona had to have it. Florida was making a little run, and then Bradley had an unbelievable help side steal where it looked like, oh gosh, Florida's going to take this game over and break Arizona's heart. And Bradley has it steal, and you're like, oh gosh, they're going to win. They're going to pull this one out. So those two were magnificent. But I'm with you, Metcalf. All right, now it was great. What's next?
Yeah,
you got to showcase that you can keep this up, and the drop coverage string. I'm right there with you. He's going to get next team's going to pull him out on the perimeter now. All right, let's switch to Koa Peat and let's make him showcase this the whole game. Like that's what I would be doing. I would be getting, hey, let's get the guards out. Let's bring Koa out. Let's see if he can move, because he had some flashes of good footwork defensively, but I thought there was some times too where I was like, he's trying to buy some time for energy. So, first game of the year, this is why we always say with scouting, like, do your check-ins, be patient, because Koa Peat has 2 bad games in a row. We're all gonna be like, oh, he's no good. Like, no, let's
get
be
back
patient.
to the 20s.
Yeah, put him back in the 20s. He's going second round, undrafted. So he's off to a great start. He's gonna be battle tested as any prospect this year because he's in an unbelievable conference with a ton of talent. And he's done this at every level though. So sometimes there's a reason why NBA scouts are always scouting these guys going up into throughout high school and international competition, because that stuff matters. It carries over sometimes.
Well, someone who did not get off to a hot start is Cam Boozer, and people are questioning biggest bust of the year. We'll tell you right after this. Let's be real. No one starts a business for the joy of calculating tax withholdings or managing payroll spreadsheets. That's where Gusto comes in, to take the stress out of payroll, benefits, and HR so you can focus on running your business and supporting your team. Gusto is an all-in-one remote-friendly payroll and HR platform that makes managing your team simple, transparent, and fast. Whether you're hiring, onboarding, or paying employees, Gusto helps you do it all from one place without the hassle or hidden fees. Unlimited payroll runs for 1 month for one monthly price, which means no surprise charges at the end of the month. Try Gusto today at gusto.com/LockedOnNBA and get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's right, 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/LockedOnNBA. One more time, that's gusto.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, obviously, I'm being a little cheeky here with calling Cam Boozer a bust, but no, I'm kidding. He struggled against Texas. Duke ended up pulling away late, and a lot of that was because Cam Boozer started to find his footing and be a little more impactful, being put in better positions to succeed and to make an impact in the second half. But he got off to a really rough first half, at least in terms of scoring.
Yeah, it was a tough one. It was kind of your night. It's always funny with the overreactions and at no ceilings and stuff. I feel like when we're watching games and Kai has a tough half, you're like, oh gosh, I can already imagine what people are going to be saying and overreacting. And it's like, let's just
you're
see.
Just already crafting the tweets and
like, look, guys, calm down.
The trolls are about to hate you with.
But you know what it is? It's like in a weird way with scouting, I get more excited for that. Because I watched the first half and I'm kind of like, oh gosh, like he went 0 for, didn't he? And then you find out, okay, 0 for 7. And I was like, yeah, but I feel like he made an impact in other places. And that's what I always say, like the off night tells you a lot. Is the guy sulking? Is the guy, not contributing to team success? Is he's figuring out a way to make an impact? So in some ways he got to halftime and I was like, he's having a really rough game. I'm like, let's see how he responds. Let's see what he does. And he ends up putting up 15 and 10 in the second half. There's a lot of questions still that we're going to keep an eye on moving forward. But, end of the day, he fills up the box score. He ends up with 15 and 13, goes to the line 11 times. I think he was 9 for 11. Had a couple blocks, had I think a steal and some assists. Like then you go back and watch the tape. I thought there was a lot more positive stuff that didn't show up in the box score. There's some stuff now we need to keep an eye on. I mean, you felt that before, Metcalf. You've pointed out the the creation on the perimeter. And I was like, we'll see. And then I was like, Metcalf is right. I hate admitting it. So it's going to be something
Wait,
looking
let me
forward.
just timestamp that real
Yeah.
quick. Okay. Yeah, good.
But it's, everyone's talking about these big three of Darren Peterson at Kansas, Cam Boozer at Duke, and AJ Devanza at BYU. And it's like, hey, these are unbelievable prospects. Yes, every prospect has something they need to work on, though. And this is the thing with Cam is like, we're like, okay, he's going to have to figure out how to kind of create, and you can't just put your head down and overpower people.
Yeah. And last segment, we just both threw a ton of praise on Tommy Lloyd in Arizona for putting Koa Peat in a perfect position to succeed on offense. I thought Duke did the exact opposite of that. I thought they almost set Cam up to fail.
And we're not making excuses for Cam's performance.
No.
For anyone in the comments or anyone that's gonna, DM Metcalf, T Metcalf 11 on Twitter. This isn't making an excuse for the top guys. Like we're just saying what we saw. And if you don't agree, like great.
And if anything, that should pour a little cold water on Koa Peat's performance. You're like, oh, well,
exactly.
Is he really that good, or is he just Tommy Lloyd's puppet out there? I'm kidding, obviously, but sarcasm, folks. We like to have fun here. But a lot of Duke's offense, specifically with Cam Boozer, I mean, a handful of his 3-point attempts, they were running him off screens. That's not his game at all. Never has been. Maybe one day, but not in the near future. And he's a solid spot up on platform 3-point shooter and pick and pop spot up, trail 3 situations. Why they're running a baseline out of bounds for him in the corner 3, I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me. And then just the constant, hey, just get the ball to Cam at the top of the arc and let him go to work. That doesn't work for me. Against a lot of teams it will, because he's just so physically overpowering and imposing. But Texas, especially in that first half, did such a good job of playing physical, defending with their chest, and just staying between the ball and the rim without fouling. And they were able to he got to the rim a bunch, but their presence, their physicality, and their presence just really off-put him, and he struggled to finish around the rim. And that was kind of an all-night thing. Now in the second half, they got, a little more undisciplined, got worn down a little bit, started fouling a little more, and he's going to live at the line because of that NBA-ready physicality. But when we look at his shot creation, it's all very much point A to point B. It wasn't until the 5-minute mark in the second half that I saw him use a counter, and it was just a simple drop step spin move that he hit there, got fouled, finished through the contact, and then at the 3:30 mark, hit the defender with another one. So I really need to see if they're gonna have that be his offense going forward, which I really hope it's not. I don't think it will be, but I need to start seeing a little more counter moves. Yeah, he doesn't need to have this insane bag, but an occasional crossover, an occasional spin move, because he doesn't have to create a ton of space. He just has to get the defender leaning a little bit. And last night he wasn't doing that at all.
Look, John Shire's a heck of a coach, but I'm with you. We saw this last year with Cooper Flagg. The people don't realize that. Cooper Flagg, go look at his game, go look at his splits throughout the year. The first, month of the year was his worst month, and then he figured it out, and it was just all systems are go. Cooper's off and running. So I think that's why we always say the situation matters. I think with Shire, it's sometimes he's going to have to figure out his players. He's like, you know what? I'm trying to find Cam any chance to get going in this game. So I'm going to run this set with the baseline out of bounds for him. I hated the shot before he even went up. I was like, why are we running this for him? And,
can we have him instead be the screener and then occasionally slip that when guys get cued in on Darren Harris or Isaiah Evans?
Look, yeah.
But it's also game 1 of the year, so they're trying to figure out what they have in this minotaur of a freshman.
Exactly. And if he hits half of those shots, we're talking about Cam probably having 24 and 13 or something. You know what I'm trying to say? And it's a whole different narrative, but it's still just, even from the Tennessee exhibition where you got to watch on TV, you're like, okay, it's a lot of similar, just give him the ball and kind of let him bully his way to the court. In a weird way, it's why don't you post him up in the mid-range or give the defense less time to react?
Or start those looks at the elbow.
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
Even just that extra 5 feet where he can then face up and knock down a little elbow jumper, or, jab step, get the guy leaning, then go the other way. Just simplify it a little bit.
Give him a little elevator screen where he's doing that movement shooting, but coming on the elbow. I'm right with you, because then he could either shot fake and get downhill or just pull it right there. And it's like, oh, instead of taking a movement 3 fading out of bounds, we're taking this at the elbow. I like this a lot. So Shire will figure it out. Boozer is going to be 18 years old this whole year. We have to remember that. So he's going to figure it out. I think this is just, it's a different world when you're a big adjusting to going against grown men in a way. So I think it's with Cam, you got to realize, a lot of these guys realize, I'm not in high school anymore. I can't just overpower every single player. And look, I like him. I understand the shots coming along in the right direction. I don't need to feed Cam Boozer threes.
No,
I need him around the basket. I need him getting downhill and
get that ball flowing, get guys moving. And once the defense gets scrambling, he's going to destroy them, because we always say, what does it look like when the shot's not falling? What does it look like on an off scoring night? When you look at the rebounding, the defense, and the passing, it was all fantastic. So I really don't have any worries.
No, I don't either. He's got such good playmaking, like vision, that people don't realize until you really watch him. That's why I'd want him more in like a face-up thing. Yeah, because you can't double him, because he'll pick you apart.
They tried that one, and he immediately just faced up in the post, double came, and just dumped it right off to Pat.
He had 3 or 4. He also had like 3 or 4 fines for shooters that just didn't go in.
Yeah,
he had an assist. They didn't call an assist. It drove me crazy because Darren Harris took a side dribble. I was like, I hate this.
A shot fake and then side.
I hate the rule. I hate it. And so he had great looks, great finds. So that's where I'd want to feed him more, face up opportunities, to where it's like, okay, either you let me go 1-on-1, or if you guys send a double for me, I'm gonna hit Isaiah Evans. I'm gonna hit all. We're gonna pick you apart. And I'm gonna have 8 assists. So I think Shire will figure that out. They'll get creative. They did it last year with Cooper Flagg, and all of a sudden it was like, oh gosh, look at Cooper Flagg. He's figured it out. And it's like, no, this Shire just understood how to adjust. And I think the biggest thing from this is, like, it was a terrible first. It wasn't terrible. It was a bad first half for a big time prospect. And he just kept coming after, he just kept going right at Texas and ended up 15-13, like 2 or 3, 1 and 2 blocks. If that's the worst game you get from Boozer, you're going to be pretty dang happy. Yeah. So that tells you the type of kid he is. That's why I joke, he's the Terminator. He will just keep coming after you. So let's see how he responds. I mean, we just said that with Koa Peat. Unbelievable performance. What do you got for us next? Cam Boozer's going to be pissed that he played bad, and he's going to be like, all right, I gotta be ready to roll.
All right. Well, these weren't the only 2 notable performances of the week. Coming up right after this, best thing we saw recently. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of a game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, Rucker, best thing in the basketball world. This can be a pickup game. This can be an NBA game, a college highlight, a funny social clip. What do you got?
I'm gonna go with a little bit of a wild card here. Late night film grind. It's about 2 a.m. and all of a sudden, I get the crazy idea of, let me some Stanford Cardinals tape.
Naturally.
Ubeka Okori. There you go. I practiced before and it's still messed up as tradition. Freshman guard at Stanford put up 26, 7 boards, and now I'll find it. But 2 assists, 9 of 17 from the field, 6 for 6 from the line. Metcalf, there's fast and then there's a Corey fast. That kid is he's shifty. He is a speeding bullet, Speedy Gonzalez, basically. I mean, he finds his sixth gear, and I was like, oh my goodness. And then there was some toughness, like one of those players that you're like, okay, he's firmly on the radar now. So that's one of my favorite things I watched. Those are also dangerous late night watches, because then you feel like you just got some adrenaline and you're like, cool, now I can't go to sleep. I have to watch film for another hour and see what's going on here. So yeah, that was the best thing I saw. What about you? Hit me with it.
I'm going deep cut as well. Another freshman guard on the smaller end of the scale, unranked, 3-star, Isaiah Johnson for Colorado. I love this dude's film. He is so much fun. I think he put up 21 off the bench in their opening game, but he's shifty, he's creative, dynamic scorer, really fun playmaker. Probably not a this year guy, but they don't all have to be. But I think he could make Colorado a lot more watchable than maybe we were anticipating. And I'm just really, really excited to see how his season progresses as teams really start to kind of figure out how talented he is, because even though he was a 3-star unranked incoming freshman who's like listed as like 6'1", 6'2", somewhere in that range, he's led Colorado in scoring in every game that he's played with them, including their two, I believe it's just the 2 exhibition games. One of those against the Australian national team, not their A team, but they had some of those guys. But he's just a bucket getter. We're seeing him play on and off ball. He's been a lot of fun.
I mean, it's funny because we just talked about Arizona, Stanford, and Colorado. So shout out to the legendary Pac-12. We miss you, Pac-12 after night or at night. So we say this in the scouting world. We kind of have a joke of like, hey, he's a dude. That just means like it doesn't mean he's an immediate, one and done, or he just looks like someone that's going to the NBA. And Isaiah Johnson looks like a dude. He looks like he's going to be one of those guys. He just is lightning in a bottle. He's really, really talented. Yeah. You hit me with that name in the offseason, and I was like, all right, let me check it out. And then I watched that game, and I was like, oh my goodness, yeah, I'm in. And when you can tell, you're like, he's on the right path. We don't know if it's going to be a one and done, but it looks like a very fun player to watch. So love that we're giving some sleepers to the old Pac-12. Shout out.
All right, well, that'll do it for us today. We'll be back next week. We'll also be live Saturday night for the No Ceilings Night Shift over on the No Ceilings YouTube channel right after Arkansas, Michigan State. Come hang out. We're going to have it's going to be fun. Recap the whole day, whole week, all that good stuff. But he is Tyler Rucker. You can follow him at Tyler_Rucker. I'm Tyler Metcalf. You can follow me at TMetcalf11. Thank you for listening to Locked On NBA Draft with No Ceilings.